It's our indeed great fortune to have His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Swami amongst us. Maharaj is an initiated disciple of His Divine Grace, Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, who joined ISKCON in 1968 and got initiated in the year 1974. Maharaj has been a great pioneer of Varnashrama, Vedic education, Gurukulas, farm communities, and many cow protection projects in ISKCON. He is the current minister for the Daiva Varnashrama ministry and also wonderful projects in Cambodia, Indonesia, Nepal, India, and many other places all over the world. He is heading, establishing the importance of the 50% of the remaining mission, the Varnashrama mission of ISKCON. And Maharaj is very famous for his study, scholarship, and systematic presentation of these concepts. He delights in the association of farmers, Go-Sevaks, Gurukula boys, and most importantly, those who are dedicated to following the instructions of Prabhupada in establishing Varnashrama. So let's welcome Maharaj amidst us by once chanting Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much.
Om Ajnanatirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamaham Kadati Swasadastikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Parakalam Shri Vaishnavam Shri Ram Sadhudatam Sahagana Raghunatam Sajivam Sadhvetam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Vishakamitam Cha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisa Gopika Kanta Tatakansana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishadadu Suti Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kruta Sindhu Yaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Narayanam. How did you repeat Udam? Narayanam Nama.
Maharaj will say you all repeat.
Narayanam Namam Shiva Narayanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Virayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sri Vyasadeva, the author. Nastaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhakti Radhaviti Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil. And rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with the transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Yakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhamyam Swasyanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantharas, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srimad Bhagavatam. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Now there's a second mantra that I will now recite, very short, but you have to listen attentively to grasp it. It is actually glorification of Mother Surabhi. It is one of many, many mantras in the Shastra, glorifying the the mother of all cows. Okay, we're back with. Okay. Hare Krishna. Switch off. Energy. Mother Surabhi. Yeah. So the mantra is as follows. Om Surabhyai Namaha. Om Surabhyai Namaha. Om Surabhyai Namaha. Om Surabhyai Namaha. Mukam karoti vasaram pangum langayate krimma. Yakripatamaham Sri Gurum Pranatharanam Yakripatamaham Sri Gurum Pranatharanam. Hare Krishna. So we are very happy to be here this morning. Nice, bright, sunny morning. We don't often get an opportunity to come to a Gurukula. It's a special privilege, I would say, and honor, because as I'm sure you all know, or should know, that Srila Prabhupada, he himself started our first Gurukula many years ago, and gave many very important instructions regarding Gurukula. As we know, Srila Prabhupada is the foremost representative in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya with a particular mission. What is that mission? To re-establish the Vedic culture, where we have, especially those in leadership position, beginning with Brahmanas, who are the three natural leaders in the Vedic culture. Yes, Brahmanas, and they call the Dvijas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishyas. And therefore, for each of those, Lord Krishna has devised, has created a natural system where one receives very good training and good education. That is the subject matter, especially of Gurukula. Is there a verse I'm supposed to read? But the topic is traditional education. And okay, we have a verse that corresponds with that also. Yes. Whatever it is we are speaking, whatever it is we are discussing, there should be some reference in the Shastra, isn't it? Yes. That is one of the important features, essential features. Whatever knowledge we are acquiring, whatever knowledge we're trying to distribute and share with others, if it is connected with the Shastra, Shastra means, especially Vedic literature, that knowledge is perfect. Otherwise, knowledge that is not supported by Veda, isn't it? Is incomplete or lacking. Wonderful machines, it has disappeared on me. The text was here, maybe somebody can magic touch. There's the verse, apparently. Whoops. Books are much better. And we have an English book also. Which one?
10:11:37.
Okay. So we're reading actually from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. Oh. You know about this verse, huh?
He told
Oh. Actually, I discovered this verse. Krishna helped me to come across this verse not that long ago, actually. You know, we read every day something from either Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, and we may read the same verse, but at some point, at some time, it means we get more meaning, more understanding. Spiritual life is like that, actually. These books are like that. These are not ordinary books. And when the time is right, Krishna reveals, actually, a very important aspect in traditional education. Because Krishna is seated within the heart of all living entities. He knows how sincere we are in trying to understand Krishna and trying to serve Krishna, and trying to serve Krishna's devotees, and trying to serve Krishna's mission. And therefore, at different times, not only do we acquire what is called knowledge, which is jnana, but we also are meant to acquire vijnanam, realized knowledge. And it is Krishna who gives us that realized knowledge. Otherwise, we are very small, very tiny, very imperfect. So this is one of very significant verses. This chapter is actually describing the daily activities of Krishna and Balaram in Vrindavan. And anyways, I wanted to talk on this point as well. When we speak about traditional education, we don't only speak about Gurukula. So best is that I read the verse and the purport. It's a short, relatively short purport, but you have to listen to every single word because it's a very meaningful, very powerful message that Prabhupada is giving us. And it's especially meant for Gurukul boys. I mean, it's meant for all of us, but it gives us an understanding that generally may not be there. So that's why we need to hear on a regular basis from such self-realized souls, isn't it? As our various acharyas, and in particular our founder acharya. Srila Prabhupada is our founder acharya. We hear his lectures, we read his books, we follow his instructions. In this way we can come to understand the mission of the Lord coming down through so many great Vaishnava acharyas. So this is the text here. Canto 10, chapter 11, entitled The Childhood Pastimes of Krishna. I'll just read the text in Sanskrit once, and then we'll go to the translation and purport. Evam brajau kasam pritim yachtantav balachestitai karavakyai svakalena vatsa palau babhu batuhu. Translation and report by Srila Prabhupada. In this way, Krishna and Balaram, acting like small boys and talking in half-broken language, gave transcendental pleasure to all the inhabitants of Braja. Just to explain or situate ourselves, Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda, and all the Brajavasis, they were initially in Gokula. And because of too many demons coming, Kamsa was very active, sending demons from Mathura. And therefore, Nanda Maharaj, he had one special meeting, and he discussed with his brothers and relatives that we should go to another place. We should move from Gokula. So they went. At that time, Krishna was a very small boy, just a few years old. So then they all decided, I'm sure you have read, they took their bullock carts, packed all of their things, and some of the older Gopalas, they were walking on the side of the chariots with bow and arrow. Not only Kshatriyas have bow and arrow. And this way they went from Gokul to Vrindavan. So this line you're just hearing is, yes, Krishna in this way was growing up And then the last second line of the text, in due course of time, they became old enough, means Krishna and Balaram, they became old enough to take care of the calves. So now we have to listen carefully to this wonderful purport that Prabhupada is giving. As soon as Krishna and Balaram were a little grown up, they were meant for taking care of the calves, not the cows, because the cows are too big. They're small boys. They were meant for taking care of the calves. Although born of a very well-to-do family, they still had to take care of the calves. And the next sentence is very significant. Prabhupada says, this was the system of education. Haribol, yes. This is a very short sentence, but actually very profound meaning. And we'll understand more here as Prabhupada continues to explain. Those who were not born in Brahmana families were not meant for academic education. Of course, generally when the Vedic system is in place, one who is born in the Brahmana family generally becomes a Brahmana and therefore goes to Gurukula. But as Prabhupada explained, it's not automatic that just because I'm born in a Brahmana family that I will become Brahmana. Anyone who is receiving proper training and education and developing the qualities of a Brahmana, even if not born in a Brahmana family, can also become Brahmana. So Prabhupada says here, those who were not born in Brahmana families, or we should understand, those who were not showing signs of being a Brahmana, were not meant for academic education. Gurukul actually means academic education, where one's academic means studying so many different subjects for many, many years. Spending many, many hours a day in reading and studying and discussing, which is only for those who have that natural ability. And Prabhupada continues here, the Brahmanas were trained in a literary academic education. The Kshatriyas were trained to take care of the state, and the Vaishyas learned how to cultivate the land and take care of the cows and calves. And this other sentence is also very important. There was no need to waste time going to school to be falsely educated and later increase the numbers of the unemployed. We can come back to that. And Prabhupada concludes as follows, Krishna and Balaram taught us by their personal behavior. Krishna took care of the cows and played his flute, and Balaram took care of agricultural activities with a plow in his hand. Balaram has a plow. So when we speak of traditional education, we need to understand these two aspects of traditional education. For us, traditional education means Vedic education. Tradition means something that has been followed for a very, very long time. And what is the oldest educational system that has been followed? Gurukula. Yes, because that knowledge is eternal knowledge, isn't it? Krishna reveals that knowledge. And that knowledge that he reveals in the Vedas is not only spiritual knowledge but also material knowledge. So in many ways, one of these systems, let's say in traditional education, that is more understood or more known is called Gurukula. But actually, majority of young boys in the Vedic culture, they don't go to Gurukula. But they receive another type of traditional education, which is connected with cows and land. Yes, as Prabhupada mentions here. Krishna and Balaram, when they are in Vrindavan, they are playing the role of a Vaishya, because Nanda Maharaj and the residents of Vrindavan, they are Vaishyas. So that, in other words, that's also a kind of education. As a matter of fact, that's the education for the majority of young boys. I think you have cows here also, huh? Oh, good. I didn't cover it.
Sadhu.
Hare Krishna. So when Srila Prabhupada speaks about reviving Vedic culture, we cannot revive Vedic culture unless we have these two aspects, or these two these two levels of traditional education. On the one side, Gurukula, and on the other side, one may not go to Gurukul, but one will be introduced, as Krishna and Balaram here are being introduced, in activities related to cows and land. In the Mahabharata, there's so much of nice, important instructions. Grandfather Vishnudev, when he is lying on his bed of arrows, to whom will he be giving instruction to? Yudhishthira Maharaj. Why he is giving instruction to Yudhishthira Maharaj?
Because he is going to be the next king.
Yes. And also because Yudhishthira Maharaj was feeling what is called morose. He was feeling very bad that so many people died in the battle of Kurukshetra just for me to become the king. So it's very interesting how the very first instruction that Grandfather Vishnudev gives to Yudhishthira Maharaj is in connection with Varnashrama. Because actually within Varnashrama is Gurukula, isn't it? Brahmachari, ashram. So if we don't have Varna and ashrama, we don't have Brahmachari. We don't have proper Brahmachari understanding. That's the very first instruction that Grandfather Vishnudev is giving. And in that purport, this is also something I recently discovered. Actually, we are meant, by reading, by hearing attentively, Bhagavatam especially, we are meant to discover new information, which helps us to more clearly understand, and which is meant to actually make us more enthusiastic in practicing Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada, he comments in that purport, this instruction of Yudhishthira Maharaj about Varnashrama, why is Yudhishthira, why is Grandfather Vishmadev giving this instruction? Why is Varnashrama so important? Prabhupada says that when we follow the system, again, which includes especially traditional education, this seemingly material system, material arrangement, social arrangement, when we follow it nicely, Prabhupada says it is meant to accelerate our development of spiritual qualities. It is meant to accelerate our advancement in Krishna consciousness. And of course, because that is the goal, isn't it? The goal for all of us, for all human beings, is to become self-realized. Atma Tattva, to understand the science of the soul, the science of the super soul, like that. So that is one of many reasons why this system, again, that is created by Krishna of Varna and Ashrama. And the foundation of that system is education, traditional education. So all of you actually are extremely fortunate because you're getting this opportunity. Does anyone know how many Gurukulas used to be in India before? Anyone ever hear the number? There's a particular number.
70,000.
Huh?
70,000.
64?
74.
74. There used to be as many villages as there were. There used to be over 7 lakhs Gurukula. That's not 70,000, 700,000. And actually, for us to re-establish the glories of the Vedic culture, that means we have to re-establish 7 lakhs Gurukula. And in addition also, because as Prabhupada explains, actually the purport Gurukula, especially those who are like meant for academics, means deep study of our Shastra. But not everyone can do that, especially in Kali Yuga. So the other aspect of traditional education, which is mentioned here, and which Krishna and Balaram they are demonstrating, is this seemingly simple activity, but actually not so simple, of looking after cows and agriculture, isn't it? So Prabhupada explains how in the Vedic culture, the majority of grihastas, means parents, if the parents take up that prescribed activity of looking after cows, of growing food, of living, that means living in village. That's why village, in Vedic culture, village is absolutely essential. And that is why to re-establish Vedic culture, we have to re-establish villages. We have to understand the importance. How many are coming from village here? Anyone? Village? Okay. So, yes. So previously, even now in India, majority of people, they live in village. But unfortunately, because of modern influence, our villages are becoming like cities also. It means people are in the village, but they think like city people. So to understand how village people think, we have to read and hear these pastimes of Krishna and Balaram. main activity of Krishna and Balaram when they go every day with the cows from one forest to another. how they become properly studying. This is Vedic education. How to understand this is Vedic education. Huh? What is the main activity of Krishna and Balaram when they go out with the cows, besides looking after the cows? They play so many games. Vedic games, not modern games. Yeah. There's one book that is called, I don't know if you have it here, Krishna Krida.
Yes, yes.
You have that book? Yes. Yeah. Krishna Krida is one of many important books that is part of what is called the 64 arts and sciences. And all of those different activities that Krishna and Balaram were engaged in, these are the type of activities, and by these activities and interaction, one learns in so many ways. Those activities are actually education. That's called non-formal education. So we are still within our society, within the Krishna consciousness movement, we still don't have so many gurukulas. But those who are, just like all of you, fortunate to be connected with Gurukul, fortunate to receive this kind of training and education, then whatever you will do later on, one of those activities should be to help establish more Gurukulas and to help in this way establish Srila Prabhupada's mission. Because unless people take up what is more natural, what is more natural in terms of occupation is meant to be connected with cows and land. There's a very important instruction given by Grandfather Vishnudev, another important instruction, because he's one of our 12 Mahajans, isn't it? So we need to hear from these great personalities, just like Narada Muni also is one of the 12 Mahajans, and he very elaborately speaks about Varnasrama in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Where? In which part of the Bhagavatam? Seventh canto. Chapter?
11.
Huh?
Chapter 11 to 13.
Yes. Chapter 11 to 15. 5 chapters. The last 5 chapters of the seventh canto is Narada Muni's dissertation. Very detailed about Varnashrama. He speaks, that's where Gurukul instructions on Gurukul are also there. So Grandfather Vishnudev, he mentions that there are 3 Krishna has given to all of us. This is very important to understand. Krishna has given us 3 what is called gifts of nature. If we properly take care of these 3 gifts of nature, if we know how to properly utilize these 3 gifts of nature, if we protect, it's like if somebody gives you a gift, you will look after it nicely, isn't it? So what are those 3 gifts of nature that are essential to create a good community or a good nation, whereby we can meet all of our material necessities of life and all of our spiritual necessities. This is another very, very important instruction, which is unknown actually in modern day society. And because we don't know about these three gifts of nature, general population, general people, therefore everything is going wrong. So many problems are there in the world today because we don't know about these three gifts of nature. Only devotees can begin to understand, but even for devotees, it's not also so easy to understand. And those three gifts of nature we find especially where? Vrindavan. Actually in Vrindavan we find everything. That's why Vrindavan, the village of Vrindavan, and the activities of the residents of Vrindavan are not only important for us spiritually, but also we come to know about the Vedic material sciences that are necessary to know and to follow. So the three gifts of nature, I can give the reference later on. Number one, there are actually three mothers. Just like if a child grows up without a mother, then that is not good. Every child needs to have mother and father. Then one will grow up very nicely. One will be more healthy, physically, also emotionally, mentally, like that. So the first of these three gifts of nature actually is cow, mother cow. In the Vedic culture, it is inconceivable, unthinkable to live without cows. Because cows, they are described actually as Gava Pratistha Bhutanam. What is meaning of Gava Pratistha Bhutanam? Who knows a little Sanskrit here? Gava Pratistha Bhutanam, yes.
Cows are the sustenance for all living beings.
Yes. They are the support, the sustenance of all living entities. And that is a big secret. That is very mysterious. That cannot be immediately understood. That requires a whole Bhagavatam class in itself. No village can exist without cows. And today our major problem in the world is that we are in villages, in India and other places, the number of cows is decreasing more and more. In many villages even now, there are no more bulls. I saw directly when I was visiting various villages. Because cows are directly connected with the second gift of nature, which is Bhumi, motherland, mother Bhumi or mother nature. We as human beings and all other living entities, we depend on the land, isn't it? All necessities of the land, all necessities of human beings and all living entities come from land. So this is a special feature of Vedic culture. Vedic culture is based on cows and land, actually. And the third gift, what is the third gift of nature?
Water.
No, not water. Land means also connected with water. The third gift of nature is knowledge, cultivation of knowledge. Cultivation not only of spiritual knowledge, but also cultivation of material knowledge. Just like if I don't know how to plow the land, if I don't know how to look after cows, then I will not be able to properly grow food. So that knowledge is also there in the Shastra. Vedic knowledge is actually perfect and complete. And unfortunately, because nowadays we don't have gurukulas, people in general don't even know about Gurukula. They don't know about Vedic knowledge. They don't know about these three gifts of nature. So part of establishing or reviving Vedic culture means to reintroduce these three mothers, the importance of these three mothers. Otherwise, since so many years, since the last century, because we are neglecting, isn't it? And therefore, so many major global problems are there. Mother Earth, she is restricting. She can produce actually unlimited food, but at present she is restricting because we are not properly caring for. We are abusing, we're exploiting, isn't it? Mother Nature. We're exploiting the cows. We are exploiting one another because we are lacking proper knowledge. So these two aspects of traditional education, because now we are trying to reintroduce, from Prabhupada's time. Prabhupada, first Gurukula he started was in Dallas in America, and then after that a few other Gurukulas were there. But we need to understand that even if somebody is not going to be for many, many years in Gurukul, he can take up this other form of what we call traditional education, which is meant to be connected with cows and land. Because all of these are the prescribed activities that more easily, more quickly can help us understand what is the purpose of life, and actually ultimately can make us healthy physically and spiritually, and can actually ultimately help us to become happy, because everyone seeks and wants and desires to be happy. But we can only be happy when we understand and follow what is prescribed actually in the Shastra. I suppose I will be finding out today whether some of the activities of our Gurukul boys here, but I understand you have a good amount of land here as well. Yeah. Land is very, very important, and not only for Gurukul, land is important for everyone. Chanaka Pandit, he says that there are two ways in which people can become happy. What are the two ways to become happy more easily, besides chanting Hare Krishna? Chanaka Pandit says, those who live locally, localized living, without having to travel, to get in the car every day and go traveling, they will more easily be happy, because they will be close to the family members. They don't have to take so much trouble to go from one place to another, because their occupation is like in the village. It's in the village, just like Krishna and Balaram and the residents of Vrindavan. They never leave Vrindavan. Only one time Krishna he left when he went to Mathura. But before that, they are fully satisfied performing their daily activities. So that was the traditional lifestyle. And when Prabhupada speaks about re-establishing Vedic culture, this is a very essential component or aspect. So that means that agriculture and cow care are the basis, actually, of Vedic culture that can help us develop very nicely on all the different levels like that. So, what is the what's the time factor here?
We can take question answers.
Yeah.
We can go to 9 o'clock.
And what time is it now?
8:45.
Okay, already, yeah. Yeah, so it's I think high time to take maybe some, yes, opportunity for questions, ideally related to the topic. Otherwise, we could take other questions also, but let's try to, yeah. Anyone have any doubts or questions on what we were trying to explain, what Prabhupada is trying to teach us? Is there a microphone in case it needs to go around? Yes.
Second way to become happy. First was localized living.
What is that?
I want to ask. Second way.
Okay, I stopped in the middle, huh? The first there are two ways. The first way to become happy by localized living, this is what Chanaka is telling. And the second way is by not becoming a debtor, by not incurring debts, means by not borrowing money, which today everyone, especially in the Western world, we see them, they have such a nice car, they have a nice home, they have mostly it's all on credit. And when we buy things on credit, then that is very problematic. Actually, India, our farmers, you may know, in the last 20 years, because the farmers in India have been wrongly, you could say, instructed to invest in big tractors and big machines for doing modern agriculture. So some of you may know, one of the big problems that this has caused is that on a very large scale, so many farmers have committed suicide because they cannot pay back the debt. Either we become sick or different factors are there. So therefore, Vedic culture, as Chanaka Pandit explains, we should not borrow money. And if you have a credit card, you try not to use it too much. Actually, there's a third instruction regarding how to be happy that is given by Yudhishthira Maharaj. What is that instruction? How one can be happy. Our Vedic culture is very down to earth. So Yudhishthira Maharaj explains, one can be happy if he can digest his food. That means if we overeat, we will not be able to digest. Or if we eat at the wrong time. So Vedic culture is very practical, isn't it? If we learn to be regulated, eat at the proper time, eat the proper food, then we'll be healthy. When we are healthy, our mind is more peaceful, we're more happy. if we are not healthy, then it's a bit more challenging. One of the characteristics of students is that they are meant to be inquisitive. What is that verse that is explaining this? 4th chapter, the Bhagavad Gita. Bolo? In order to understand, grasp, to have darshan of tattva, to understand, then we should be inquisitive. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Can you read some pastimes of Prabhupada?
Pastimes of Prabhupada.
With you,
Huh?
with you,
Oh.
between two of you, Prabhupada and you.
Birds are making home, huh? You're going to have more living entities living here. Something very short. Srila Prabhupada, as we know, used to travel quite extensively. And so one time he came to the Montreal temple where we were visiting actually. And Srila Prabhupada, he came to know that in Canada, they grow very good corn. You know corn?
Yes.
Corn on the cob, they call it. So anyways, Prabhupada, he requested that some corn be prepared for him. And I was kind of the person who went shopping for the corn. And actually, I have background in cooking, but the way Prabhupada wanted his corn to be prepared, I've never heard of before. And I will share with you because you may or may not know. Normally when we cook corn, we peel it, we break it in half and put it in boiling water, generally. Of course, there's another way also. What's the other way of preparing corn? On fire. You peel it and you roast it. Yeah, correct. In Calcutta, they still do that on the side of the road. And then you put some whatever. But there's a third way which I didn't know before, which is, we could say, is Prabhupada's way. So he instructed, at that time it was, I thought I would be cooking for Prabhupada, but because I was the head cook in our temple, but he had his own cook. Prabhupada had, I think it was Harikesh Maharaj at that time. So he instructed, don't open the corn. Leave the corn as it is, and you just wrap it in some foil, some kind of, and you put it in the oven. And you put the heat on, and after 20 minutes, you take it out. So when you do that, because by nature corn has water, So when you put it in the oven like this, the water from inside will actually heat and prepare the corn, cook the corn, without losing any of the flavor. Because when you put it in water, you lose some of the flavor of the corn, isn't it? And the same thing when you burn it. So next time you prepare corn, you might keep that in mind. At that same time, when Prabhupada he was staying in the room of our temple president, who had an apartment very close to the temple, and we were all quite young brahmacharis at that time, and we were trying to, Prabhupada was in one room, and we were all out in the front, and we were trying to listen, because Prabhupada was, and the devotees were discussing about the fifth canto. What is especially described in the fifth canto? That's one thing, and there's another, cosmology, isn't it? The whole TOVP, Temple Vedic Planetarium, is going to show the whole universe, like cosmology. So we were all listening very attentively. Then they were discussing about, because the subject matter of cosmology is not so easy to understand. Then at one point, Prabhupada, he said, he gave some explanation, and then he made the following comment, that what I have just now explained, that is from realization. Normally we are hearing and understanding by reading from Shastra, but personalities like Srila Prabhupada, self-realized, they can also give knowledge by what is called self-realized knowledge. So that was one of the closest times that I was exchanging a little bit with Srila Prabhupada. Actually, many of us who joined a little bit later, and some of you may not know, it's not that every disciple of Srila Prabhupada had so much of personal exchange. Actually, most disciples of Prabhupada never had that opportunity because Prabhupada was very busy and already so many senior devotees were there. So we have, as we know, both Vani and Vapu. So Vapu means that direct personal, physical, let's say, association. And then Vani means instruction, isn't it? Hearing and following the instructions. So most disciples of Prabhupada actually know Srila Prabhupada, especially through Vani. And Vani, we hear from our Shastra, from our Acharyas rather, of the two actually is the most important. Okay, I think we're close to our time, so we can close for now. Jai Kantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai Krishna.